I want to give you an overview of verbals. Now, verbals look like a verb, but they're used as a noun or an adjective or an adverb. So we have three different types of verbals. There are participles, gerunds, and infinitives. You've heard of participles. We've talked about participles and principal parts of verbs. You've probably talked about participles in your study of Latin or any other language. Infinitives you've definitely heard of from Latin or other languages. So let's look at the different forms of verbs that can be verbals. So if we have a verb that ends in ing or ed, that's like this one is the present participle, that's the past participle. And so that'll be something like running or walked. Now sometimes you'll have a different form than ed because sometimes your verbs have a different form than ed. All right, gerunds are going to just be of the type ing, and infinitives are to plus a verb, like to run. Now let's look at how we use all three of these things. Participles are used as adjectives. Gerunds are used as nouns, and infinitives are usually used as a noun. Now I want us to start looking at some examples of participles. So let's look at these participles and participial phrases. Look at the first one. The person sitting quietly is Morgan. Now, if we wanted to figure out what the verb is and what the verbal is, we had to first look at the subject. Who or what is this sentence about? It's about person. So the subject of the sentence is person. What does the person do? The person is. Now, yes, the person is sitting quietly, but you would not say person sitting quietly. Sitting quietly describes this person. So the subject is person, the verb is. This sitting quietly is a verbal, and it is a participle. And if it only had the one word, if it just said the person sitting is Morgan, it would have been just a participle, but it says sitting quietly. It has modifiers or objects after it. And so that's going to be called a participial phrase. So don't be alarmed by these words. You can figure it out. Now let's look at the next one. Tired of grammar, Gabby did her reading first. So tired of grammar is describing Gabby. It's being used as an adjective. Our subject is Gabby. Our verb is did. And look at this, reading. There's another verbal. That one's going to be a gerund. So tired of grammar, this is one that has the ed form, and it has a modifier. It has a prepositional phrase that goes with it. So that whole thing is called the participial phrase. Now there's something important about participial phrases, and that is that you have to think about whether to put a comma. To remember that commas are kind of like handles that you can use to take that part of the sentence out. Let's look at the first part. The person sitting quietly is Morgan. If I didn't put that sitting quietly and said the person is Morgan, you wouldn't know which person. I have to put that sitting quietly in order for it to make sense. So now think of that also if I had the person sitting quietly is sleepy. That would be an even better example. The person sitting quietly is sleepy. I wouldn't know who the person is sleepy. I wouldn't know who that person was without sitting quietly. But functionally in the sentence, we don't need, we have to have sitting quietly. We're not going to put commas. We're not going to have handles to take it out. Next, tired of grammar. Gabby did her reading first. Now, Gabby did her reading first makes sense without this tired of grammar. Tired of grammar is an extra piece of the sentence, so we can take that out. So I put a comma Since it's at the beginning, I don't need commas before and after it, just after it. But that's my handle to take that out of the sentence. I could take away tired of grammar, and we'd still know Gabby did her reading first. Now let's look at the next two. These two aren't phrases, they're just single words. The howling dog kept me awake. Now you know this is not the verb because the subject is dog. Who's the sentence about? The dog. Which dog? The howling dog. It's an adjective describing dog. So the dog is the subject, kept is the verb. Let's look at this next one. The broken pipe sprayed water. Subject is pipe. What did the pipe do? It sprayed. What are we describing it with? What are the modifiers? The pipe, we'd use the and broken to describe pipe. They would both be adjectives. This would be an article adjective. This would be a participle that's used as an adjective. Okay, let's look at the next type. Let's look at gerunds. I'm sorry, infinitives. Infinitives you've seen forever, and you're actually used to hearing them, and you probably write with them all the time. An infinitive has to plus the verb. This should say verb. And so the infinitive can be used, it's usually used as a noun, so it would be a subject, a predicate, nominative, or a direct object. And this one we'll look at, it has an object with that direct object. All right, to win is not the only object of the game. What is the sentence about? Who or what is the sentence about? It's about to win. It's about this. This is what the sentence is about. So that is not being used as a verb. It's being used as a noun. So to win is the subject and is my verb. Let's look at the next one. However, one goal is to win. So with this one, goal is our subject, is our verb, and when we have is or a linking verb like that, it means equal. So the goal and to win are the same thing. We're talking about the same thing. They're equal. So to win is an infinitive being used as a predicate nominative. Let's look at how we use it as a direct object. Now, if I didn't use breakfast, if I just said we want to eat, then my subject would be we, want is my verb, and my direct object would be to eat. But notice that just like with participles, you can have modifiers or objects that go with the infinitive. So to eat breakfast, it's sort of like the direct object has a direct object. The object of this, to eat, is breakfast. And this whole thing functions as a direct object to the sentence we want. This is what we want. All right, the last kind. Oh, one more thing. Prepositional phrases. You can have the word to used as a preposition. This one is not an infinitive. Jamarian passed, supposed to say the ball to Kipper. Now, to Kipper. Kipper's a noun. This is a prepositional phrase. When we had a verb after to, it was an infinitive. Don't get prepositional phrases and infinitives mixed up. Infinitives have a verb. Prepositional phrases have a noun used as the object of the preposition. Last type of verbal, gerunds. These you probably haven't heard of before. These are verb forms that are used as a noun, and they'll start with a verb with ing, like running or walking or swimming. Let's look at this first one. Reading is fun. This one's used as the subject of the sentence. Who or what is the sentence about? Reading. So that's the subject, and it's a verbal, it's a gerund. Let's look at another one. We ate after swimming. This is the object of a preposition. Here's the prepositional phrase, after swimming. After what? After swimming. Next, the best game is playing basketball. Now, this is kind of like these others that had an object with them. Playing is my gerund, but my gerund phrase is playing basketball. Basketball is the object of playing. But this whole thing, playing basketball, functions as a predicate nominative because best game means equals, best game equals playing basketball. Then our last example, I like running. Running, it looks like a verb, but it doesn't go with as part of the verb. It's not like running as my action. My action is that I like something. What is it that I like? What's receiving the action of being liked? Running. So running is a gerund, and it's used as the direct object. It's receiving the action of the verb like.